Hey folks, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the rounds I played at a local charity tournament, which was called Fling for Wings, which essentially raises money for drug rehabilitation and stuff like that in the area. So definitely a worthwhile cause, but it's also just a fun amateur tournament to play, and we get to play it this year at the Admiral, which is a very highly regarded course in the southern United States. It's designed by John Houck, who is a very famous disc golf course designer. It's a very technical wooded track. It is a championship level course. It gets used in the City Mobile Championships, where top touring pros come and play this course. Now, we were playing the white tees, which are a little bit shorter than the blue tees, but on a lot of the holes, the white tees and blue tees are the exact same tee pad. So still lots of challenge playing from the white tees. There's only a handful of holes where the white tee is a good bit easier than the blue tee. So I basically got to play kind of the pro level of the course as opposed to the red tees, which is definitely a little bit more amateur friendly. And I really went into this tournament with just the goal of not having any mental game issues. I really wanted to make sure that I kept my attitude in check, that I really worked on just staying calm, having a short-term memory, not letting bad shots get to me. And this was going to be the ultimate test to do that, because I was going to be playing a very tough wooded course where there was definitely a lot of risk of tree kicks and bad breaks. And, you know, if you're just slightly off your line in the woods, you're going to hit a tree and you're going to maybe have a devastating result as a result of it. And I just really wanted to kind of use that as a test to really just, you know, work my mental game. And so I didn't come in with any expectations results-wise. I just really wanted to leave the event without having any type of, you know, raging going on. Basically, it's just really focus on the mental game, really focus on staying calm, and just, you know, taking one shot at a time and just trying to work on that short-term memory. This was definitely a tournament where, because it was unsanctioned and it went kind of against my rating, it would kind of allow me to practice with some tournament pressure on, but not without the full pressure of like a rating and chasing after that 900 rated goal that we've been talking about on the channel lately, but still put me underneath tournament pressure and just really let me work on my mental game. That was the biggest thing. There were 10 players in my division in MA2. Obviously, I'd like to win, but, you know, again, I was more focused on just kind of training. Putting was another thing I was really working on, was just trying to get my tournament putting in good shape, as that's been kind of up and down lately. I was also working on my forehand a little bit, just more accuracy than power. And yeah, other than that, just wanted to have a good time, go out there and play some disc golf and just have a good day. You know, I've been really busy with work lately. Work has been kind of stressful lately, to be honest. And it was nice just to be able to get out and have a good time playing a tournament with some cool people on a really fun and technical course. And yeah, without further ado, I'll take you through the footage of both rounds. We played the full 18 holes at the Admiral, but there was also 3 added temporary holes to make room, as there was 90 players at this tournament total. Like I said, there was 10 players in my division, but yeah, other than that, let's hop into it. All right, so for round 1, I started on hole 10 of the course, about 320 feet uphill. Was happy to get a clean shot off the tee to start the tournament. You know, those first shots can always give you a little bit of jitters when a tournament starts, but that's the one thing about this hole, is it's very easy to leak left into this left wood line, which pretty much meant that I wasn't really going to have a putt for birdie. I was lucky to be super close to the edge to not really be obstructed from just getting up and down for par. And so I was able to easily pitch up there and tap in the par. We move on to hole 11. Really no sense in going for this hole. It's a pretty short par 4. Yes, you can try to cross the water off the tee and go for the eagle, but I don't throw 400-ish feet, so I just kind of lay up and then throw my second shot and try to go for birdie. Unfortunately, in the attempt of not coming up short and going into the water, I actually pushed this approach shot too deep, and so I have an obstructed putt kind of in the weeds here. But this is the mistake to make, obviously. If you go short, you go in the water, you take an OB stroke, all that jazz. And almost got it, but settle for par. So I'm playing par golf right now, going into hole number 12. Short but technical.
Oh, you dummy.
Just off my line.
What?
I was actually in kind of a tight spot here on the left side of woods, but I was able to kind of find a little hole to punch a disc through. And even there, you saw some negative self-talk, calling myself a dummy. That's even something else I'm trying to work on. I'm kind of doing it in jest, but I need to just stop doing that in general. But that was a really good out, considering where I was Left myself a little bit of a tester, but not too bad. And so the putting is doing pretty well so far. I haven't really had to hit a long putt yet, and to be fair, the one longer putt I had, I was really obstructed. And I've been having some early release issues with forehands. Has been my biggest mistake, but that time I kind of just had the opposite problem.
That was an unnecessary tester putt.
Fluffed that up shot just a little bit, leaving myself more of a tester than I wanted to for a par. You kind of want easier putts, not these 25-footers. But like I said, the putting felt really on that day. Now we skipped hole 14 in the video, but I wound up bogeying that hole or parring it. I can't remember.
Okay.
Then I just shanked that forehand, so now I'm stuck in the woods here on hole 15 as a par 4. So there's still a chance to get up and down and save par, despite having a really bad tee shot. But I had really bad footing. I'm like on a hill, so my back foot's up higher than my front foot, so it's just kind of a weird standstill situation. So why not really being able to get a clean shot? So now this is my third throw, trying to get up and down for par. But definitely not an ideal situation here. That's the thing about this course is if you're in the fairway, you have something. But if you get off the fairway, it can get rough. They're a pretty nice little flex shot there. So this is my par safe putt, but definitely a good distance away. Also have to like highs it around that little tree, so why not bogey in that hole? So now we made it to 16, par 3, 265. Just got to throw something dead straight.
Oh, turn more.
And I thought that was going to turn a little bit more, but unfortunately it just kind of pulled left. So left myself a very long birdie putt. Likely a par. But I nailed it from about probably 60 or more feet away. So that was a pretty big birdie. I think they got me back to even par for the round or something like that. Maybe one over. I can't really remember. Hole 17, longer par 4. This turned just a little bit too much. Nearly put it through the tunnel. I wound up still having somewhat of a decent shot. But as you can see, I kind of had to follow through on some weeds, so it wasn't the most comfortable situation. But I still made some decent progress down there on this par 4, so I still have a chance to get up and down for par. So pitch my A2 up there, and yeah, gave myself a par save putt, but not before a nature appreciation moment. There you go. There's a little skink. If you don't know what those are, look them up. They're pretty cool.
I'll go.
And so this is I don't know, like a maybe 20-footer for par here. And yeah, I mean the putting is really feeling good this day as we move on to the next one here. This is hole 18, a par 5. Pretty solid tee shot. Just barely caught one of the last trees I needed to miss to have a really, really good tee shot. Kind of took birdie off the table. You really have to get yourself in a good position off the tee to really be able to attack for birdie. But par was certainly still up for grabs, and a par on this hole still feels really good. It's a pretty difficult par 5. So this is my third shot here. Almost skipped it up there into like circle 2 putting range, but caught up on one of the trees on the right-hand side. And so now all I can really do is just kind of pitch out for a par putt, which I was able to do just fine. So playing pretty clean golf. I'm not really scoring a lot, but I'm definitely not taking any big numbers and staying around even par, so that's good. So we get the hole 1, a big dog leg par 4. Not super long, but because it's such a severe dog leg left, it's definitely a par 4. Unfortunately, I did not get left at all. I just threw kind of a dead straight shot and caught an early tree. And here I kind of overturned this backhand. That tree kick actually probably helped me from getting it. This is a really tricky spot. So I actually still have a way to get up and down and get par here. threw it a little bit nose up, so it faded a little bit more left than I wanted to, which, again, I'm leaving myself, harder putts than I want to be having. I want to be having, 10 or 15-foot tap-ins, not tester putts every time. But I've been focusing up and hitting all of them, so, I mean, it is what it is. I've been 100% C1X so far. This is a hole that usually gives me a lot of trouble because the trees right off the tee kind of scare you a little bit. So I usually don't throw a good tee shot in this hole, but I wound up throwing a really good one here, and I had myself a birdie putt. And that one hurt really bad. Of all the putts I made, and then I have myself finally a pretty easy putt, but, it's for birdie, so there's that added pressure, I guess, and I wound up missing it. So and that wasn't even a C1X putt. That was bullseye. So I'm still putting 100% C1X for the day, but just missed a tap in there for birdie. So I'm taking par. This one, tee shot, as you can see, did not go well. This is a tough hole. The gaps are very tight off the tee on this one. It's very easy to catch something. Decent recovery shot, but not quite enough height, and I caught kind of one of the trees guarding the green, kind of leaving me with like a 35 to 40 footer for par. And that is just the beauty of this game, isn't it? Just missed like a 10-foot putt for birdie the previous hole, then nail an almost 40-footer for par the next hole. That's disc golf for you. As we get to the other par 5 on the course, hole 4. Just push this one too straight. You really want to fade left, and unfortunately I didn't. So now I'm kind of in this tricky spot where I'm kind of blocked by this middle patch of trees on the fairway. Decide to get risky and throw a big roller shot to try to still attack for birdie. And it works out well, as you can see.
Get right.
And so now I have about a 260-foot shot to the pin to try to still get birdie on this hole. But as you can see, it's a pretty tight corridor.
Yeah.
But I laced it.
Come on. Let's go hit that group of trees. Oh, man. I mean,
Wound up not mattering. That group of trees didn't really do any harm. Wound up still having a pretty close putt. And it was nice to be able to hit that birdie putt after what happened to me a couple of holes ago where I missed an easy birdie putt. And that's a very hard hole to birdie. So the fact that I got a birdie on that hole in a tournament feels really good. Threw a really good forehand here, was just slightly off. And so I caught, again, one of those last guardian trees. If I missed that, I'm probably skipping up into circle 1 for a birdie putt, but unfortunately didn't quite happen. A couple of bugs hit me in the ear, so kind of having to try to shake them off. Yeah, I just didn't put any angle on that, so it just faded out on me. But putt's been feeling pretty good, so I'm feeling pretty confident running stuff and still being able to save par, and I do it yet again. So overall, putting's going really well. Other than that one missed birdie tap-in, I've been putting really, really well. Hole 6, another par 4. I'm trying to just turn it all the way through the tunnel, and I almost did it.
this is so stupid. I'm doing it anyway.
Here I'm telling myself this is a bad idea. I should probably just play like a chip forehand and play for par, but I decided to try to go for like this miracle flex shot. But I put way too much turn on it, and then I hit a tree and then kicked way right.
That's why I shouldn't have done that.
And so now I'm getting stabbed by thorns everywhere in the rough. But I find a little window and actually throw like a pretty nice little out. But this is now my par save putt here on hole 6. Oh, just put a little bit more angle on it. I would have maybe had it. Hole 7, well, I didn't show it here. I'll show it in the second round, but I wound up taking like a single or double bogey on the hole because I just did not have a clean tee shot, which you'll see what I'm talking about later when we show hole 7 in the second round. So I think right now I'm probably like 2 over par or so, roughly. And I'm about halfway through. Well, no, a little less than halfway through the round. As we get to hole 8. I felt headwind, so I threw Emperor off the tee, but threw a little bit nose up, so didn't get as much distance as I wanted. But this is not that long of a par 4, so I still only had about 160 feet to the basket to get up and down for birdie. Juiced that one a little bit. And again, leaving myself a longer putt than I want to. But again, putting, I've been feeling good, so I'm still feeling confident. And, you know, that wasn't the prettiest putt, but I got it done. And now, this is one of the tip holes we played. It's about 325 feet, and it was slightly uphill to the left. You see the basket kind of just around that corner. Throw the Emperor again. This time I get it nice nose down. Get the full S flight. And got the full distance I needed. Got the full 325, 330, whatever you want to call it. Slight uphill putt now for birdie. But I get it done. Next little temp hole here. Pretty short, 235, but there was water right behind the basket, which is kind of the danger of this hole. Really had to make sure that you had distance control.
You know what? It's not in the water.
And I did. Pretty much parked this one, so... wound up hitting the turkey. 3 birdies in a row. I birdied hole 8, and then I birdied the 2 temp holes that you just saw. So that was 3 birdies to get me to, I think, 1 under par now for the round, actually. Then I laced this shot beautifully. Needed a little bit more height to get it up there for like a close birdie putt, but I'm still like shallow circle 2 for birdie here. Maybe 35 feet or so. I just threw it a little too high. No big deal. Why not par on that hole? And didn't show it, but I wound up bogeying the last temp hole that we had to play, which is like this island hole to the practice basket that we played. And so I wound up shooting even par for the round. You know, it was a par 74 with the added 3 temp holes that were all par 3s. Normally this course is like a par 65 or something like that, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But again, because of the temp holes, it was a little higher than that. And yeah, it is indeed a par 65 normally, but again, par 74 because of the 3 added par 3s. So I was in second place in the field of 10 for my division. I was 2 strokes off the leader. I was 1 stroke ahead of third. And yeah, that pretty much kind of sums it up as we headed into the next round. Worth noting that some of these scores, they were playing the red tees in MA3, so that's why their scores look kind of similar to ours. At least I think they were playing the red tees. So other than that, everybody else is playing whites. I think for maybe some of the female divisions we're also probably playing red tees. But yeah, that is where I'm at. Dustin Mouret, second place out of 10 players in MA2. And, you know, in contention for the win. So it felt pretty good. I wasn't keeping up with scores at all. We didn't have any live scoring either. So since we were doing paper scorecards, pretty easy to not really pay attention to scores. And obviously I couldn't see anybody else other than people on my card playing. And basically myself and Hudson were on the card together the first round. So we're going to be together again for this round. And yeah, let's tell you the story of how this tournament finishes off. So we start on a hole 10 again. So I'm basically playing the exact same round I just played. But this time the wind picked up a little bit. There was a storm kind of coming in, so it's a little bit windier. And I just threw that way too low. And so now I have a really rough recovery shot to try to get up and down for par from here. Luckily, I didn't go too deep in the woods, but I still didn't make it around the corner, so it's still a tricky up and down from here. Got pyro in hand here. Threw a perfect little flex forehand, put myself within 15, 20 feet of the basket to save par. And I got a little lucky there. I kind of hit the bottom of the top band, but I did drop in. So, scorecard don't care. But you guys got to see it. Then this hole, I basically played it exactly the same way as the first round. Just a easy little layup tee shot, and then going for birdie. This time I tried to make sure I didn't push as far forward by throwing a more overstable disc. I think I threw Envy approach shot the first time. This time I threw the A2.
Heck is that?
Here's another nature appreciation moment. Some kind of weird red bug. I don't know. Those of you in chat, let me know.
Looks like, I mean, 6 legs and 2 antennas, right? Yeah, it's definitely not spider. I have no idea what it is.
Maybe you guys can tell me what it is in chat in the comments. So here I am, birdie putt. This time wide open look at a birdie putt. And just threw a little bit too high. Which is actually fine, because normally I miss low. So the fact that I was missing high means I was just committing too much. Then this one, again, almost had enough turn to get what I wanted, but wound up fading out a little too early, catching that center tree. Nearly gave it a long birdie bid, though. So I'm even par through the first few holes. So not too shabby. Kind of made a correction on this hole, but I threw it a little bit nose up, so I didn't get as much distance. So even though I got around the corner this time, I still had a long putt. I thought I did it, though. And then I wound up hitting the top band. Was trying to walk that one in a little prematurely. I really thought I had that one. It looked good out my hand, but settle for par again here. So this is hole 14. I didn't show this hole the first round. We didn't catch it on footage, but I think I bogeyed it the first round or parred it. I can't remember which. This is a very difficult par 4, very technical.
Same spot. Yeah.
Kind of put myself in the center position, but had to go kind of like a standstill turnover. Just didn't trust this disc enough. Like I should have put it on a little bit more angle. Instead, I kind of threw it dead straight. So I left myself a very long birdie putt. But I'll take a par on that hole all day long. So you get the hole 15. Last time I threw kind of a rough forehand. I wound up bogeying the hole, I think. So this time I tried to go over the backhand route, which set me up for the forehand approach. And I shaped this forehand perfectly. Couldn't really ask for better. Left myself a really long birdie putt. Deep circle 2. But finally knocked down another long one. I had been close a few times, but finally hit one.
Oh, God.
Get lucky.
I did get really lucky on this shot, actually. Just yanked it wide right.
This is actually butthole.
Sorry, I didn't censor that one that well. We were having a good time. We were all joking around.
I knew that was going to happen.
Tried to get fancy. Wound up catching some trees. But I'm telling you, the putting just felt good that day. It felt like I could hit anything I wanted. I mean, obviously I missed a couple. You get what I mean. I'm not a robot. I'm going to miss some. But overall, the putting was feeling pretty good. I think I've only missed like 2 putts so far. And I overturned this one. So that was fun. But somehow, I wound up in this lane. So I still had like a way to try to save par on this hole, as this was a par 4. And as you can see, I have a chance to save par on this guy. Again, that negative self-talk, we're still working on that. But no real raging or like getting super angry, so I was pretty happy with that at least. And that was more of just joking around. But I saved par, so it is what it is. Now I'm going to pause it here just to give you a kind of recap of where we're at right now. So I was 2 strokes behind the leader going into this round, and I'm 1 under par for the round right now because I've been able to save par on every situation where I've been in a tough spot. And then I did hit that long birdie putt on hole 15. So I'm 1 under par. Problem is, Hudson, shout out to this guy, by the way. He's like, one of the local guys in the area. He's also sponsored and really solid amateur level player. He is also on Instagram and stuff like that. So I'll link to him stuff below. Cool dude. This man went on a heater. So, again, I was 2 strokes behind. I'm like, there's still a chance I could maybe make a comeback. On this course, 2 strokes means nothing. This dude went 6 down through 7. He parred hole 10, just like I did, and then proceeded to hit 6 birdies in a row on holes 11 through 17 as we're going into hole 18 right here. So I'm 1 under for the round. He's 6 under for the round. He was already 2 strokes ahead of me. And so now He is like 7 strokes ahead of me or something like that. So at this point, I'm like, all right, winning this tournament is probably not going to happen. This guy's on the heater. He's 6 down through 7. I'm 1 down through 7. I was already 2 behind. I'm doing the math in my head. I'm like, yeah, this guy's ahead of me by like 7 strokes. And while there's still a lot of golf to be played, as long as he doesn't royally just blow up, he has a good chance to go ahead and take home the dub. But I was trying not to worry about that too much and just worry about the goals that I had set when I came into the tournament, which was play with a positive attitude, don't rage, let the bad shots go quickly, and, just work on, the mental game under tournament pressure and just try to putt clean, which I've been doing. So I'm hitting all my goals, is my point. So I'm not super worried about what's going on standings-wise, I guess you could say. As we get into hole 18, you'll remember I parred it the first round, which par feels like birdie on this hole. It's a very difficult par 5.
Oh, it's so bad. It's still bad.
And it was a really bad shot. This super hyzer, early release. There's a lot of things wrong with that shot. And I got nothing. I tried to look to see if there's any way I could make any kind of like forward progress, and there was just no. So I just pitched out to the center of the fairway, took my medicine, thinking, hey, if I hit a really good shot here, maybe I can still save par. So I decided to go for it. I got the Emperor in hand here, my more beat-in, like lightweight one. I just threw a pushing hyzer and slid it right through the gap. I caught a tree, but it didn't matter. I still had a way to get up and down for par. So that's all that matters. So tee shot, pitch out. That was my 3rd shot. This is now my 4th. And I definitely yanked this over, right, more than I wanted to. That's that new, like, Eagle McMahon Proton Envy, which is a pretty overstable run of Envy, but not that overstable. I kind of yanked it over. But, again, I gave myself a putt, and my putt had been feeling pretty good all day. So I was still confident I had a chance to save par, and I nailed it. So I'm still 1 under par for this round thus far. Getting into hole numero uno. Tried to make a correction from the last round where I threw it too straight, but this time I hyzered it too much. So now I have to try to play this like weird skip shot around the corner. This is my spice. Shout out to Eric Oakley for that one because it's super overstable and got the skip I wanted. And look at where I landed. I have a chance to get up and down for par after a really bad tee shot, which is pretty impressive.
Oh, boy.
I yanked that one right again, though, just like I did on hole 18. So I have to now putt between the trees to try to save par on this hole. Not really the situation you want to be in. I mean, again, it just felt like I couldn't really miss on the putting green. Obviously, I did, but you get my point. The confidence was brewing. After throwing a great shot the first round, this round just didn't quite put it wide enough. I catch the center tree. So yanked the approach shot right again. And just had to settle for bogey on that one. So now I am back to even par for the round. Tried to go for the backhand on this hole after the forehand didn't work out for me the first round, and the backhand didn't work out for me either. Decided to take my medicine kind of again here. It's a very long par save putt here. And while I've been hitting a lot of these, this one's a little bit longer than a lot of the other ones I had been hitting. But I was still trying to give it a chance. And just didn't quite follow through all the way. So this is now the bogey putt. So back-to-back bogeys have brought me to, I think, 1 over par for the round. Kind of going for the same play here on hole 4, which I should have made the adjustment and thrown something more overstable because I needed to get left faster. And I threw the exact same disc and got the exact same result. It pushed too straight. So I catch the clump of trees, get kicked to the center. Now I'm even more behind the center cluster of trees, and so I can't really go for that risky backhand roller again. I decided just to play a safer forehand shot through the gap. which I was able to do. And so birdie's basically off the table at this point, and really I'm just trying to figure out how I can save par here.
Go with your gut.
And that was me just telling me, hey, go with your gut. And threw a pretty good forehand here.
First time playing together, though.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's a par, I think.
Yeah, it's a good shot.
And yeah, I went up par on that hole. So still 2 over. Now we're on hole 5. I threw a pretty good forehand the first round, so I decided to go for the same play. And I yanked it left, but got really lucky.
You lucky dog.
Figured I would try to take that luck and turn it into a magical birdie, so I'm trying to run this putt. Almost did it. Almost hit another long one. But I do get the par on this hole. Now we're back to the par 4, hole 6. Not super long, but very technical. This time I put too much hyzer on it.
Imagine being that bad at the...
A little bit of negative self-talk there, but I sent out of it pretty quickly. And I'm trying to go for the big turnover shot again. This time with something a little bit more overstable, going with the Emperor instead of the Halo Maya. And well, I'm getting caught up, but I had a look at the basket here, so I pull out the my more overstable A2, something I can kind of flex. I think I was like 250 from the basket or so, 230.
Hell yeah.
Threw the perfect flex forehand up there to give myself a chance to save par after a rough tee shot and not the best second shot. And I get it done. Thought I was going to bounce back on me. So now we're on hole 7. I didn't show this the first round, but the first round I tried to go left side with the forehand, and I got caught up and wound up either bogeying or double bogeying the hole. I can't remember which. So I decided to go for the backhand route, and this time I threw the shot exactly how I wanted. There is water because it's got an island green, but I threw my disc short of the water. So now I'm just trying to lay up for par.
Sit on the island. Oh, thank you.
The tree
Oh,
you
baby.
just passed is the one that fucking...
And so I want a par on the hole. So now we're on hole 8. I'm still like 2 over par for the round.
That big arm.
That's a sign.
And that was a Halo Maya, which is like kind of my max distance disc, and there's no wind. The Maya is very understable in the Halo Plastic. It's got a little bit more integrity, so I can just kind of throw it on some hyzer, let it turn, let it come out. And I threw it about 350 feet off the tee, uphill into a little bit of wind, but not too much. So not too bad for me. Again, distance is kind of one of my weaker points in my game right now that I'm trying to work on. And I do hit the birdie here, so that's going to get one of those strokes back. And so now I am back to, I think, 1 over par for the round. Or I might be even, something like that. I can't remember.
Or in the woods. Or past the woods?
Yep, and so I want to get stuck in the woods here. I'm trying to think of how can I get out and still try to save par. I was looking at a couple different options. I was trying to see if there's some way I could force my way through the corner, like through the actual woods itself, but there was nothing there. So I decided forehand roller is probably my best bet. I pull out my Justice, which is super overstable mid-range, and just thinking, hey, if I put this on the right angle and hit it hard enough, I might be able to curl it around. And I did. And so now I'm basically in the exact same spot I was the previous round, but off the tee. This time it's for par save instead of birdie, and I hit it. So I'm going to pause right now because things actually got interesting. So despite the fact that Hudson was 7 strokes ahead of me, it turns out at this point he had a couple of hiccups after that really hot start where he went 6 down through 7. And now I think I'm only like 1 stroke behind him now because he had a couple of bogeys where I got pars. Like I think he bogeyed hole 6. I parred it. The hole that we just played, the 10th hole, I parred it. He was also in the woods. He wound up bogeying the hole. There was a couple other moments like that where I just started slowly kind of gaining strokes on him. So going into these last 3 holes, I want to say he was 1 stroke ahead of me. And so essentially he had to match me the rest of the way to win. Or if he had a hiccup and I, took a birdie where he took a par, there's a chance for a playoff. But I didn't know that at the time. I kind of found that out after the fact. I was just playing my game. So this round, there was more wind, so I decided to throw my A2 instead of my NV. And wound up just throwing a little too hard. And so this putt was actually for a chance to tie things up with Hudson because he was going to par this hole. He missed his birdie putt, but so did I. So now he's still one stroke ahead of me. And I just overturned it this time with the wind and everything. It also started raining at this point.
Hit that thing way too hard.
So you can kind of maybe hear some of the rain coming through the limb. So didn't have the best grip and just overturned it. Rain kind of got me a little bit there. But was able to chip up and save par. And so I didn't show this the first round, but this is the island hole, the last hole we were able to play. Again, raining. I threw the A2 because I just didn't have the best throw. And so I made the island, and it forced Hudson to have to make the island as well to win. And he did wind up making the island, though. So even though I got this final birdie, Hudson would still ultimately win the tournament. Again, he had me by 7 strokes at one point, but in the end, he only beat me by a single stroke. I shot even par the first round, and I shot 1 under par the second round to shoot 1 under overall for the tournament on the par 74 course that we were playing. He shot 2 under par the first round and then even par the second round. So, again, wound up being a stroke. Also, shout out to Louis Fussner. He made a huge comeback. He shot a 68 after having a really rough first round. So, he wound up shooting, I think, the best round in our division by shooting a 68. So, I mean, that's pretty darn good. That's like 6 under par or something like that on the layout that we were playing. So really, really good. He wound up hitting the podium. So shout out to him for that. And yeah, that kind of wraps up how things played out. So just to kind of wrap things up, again, after 2 rounds of play, I was able to shoot 1 under par overall for the tournament, which is honestly pretty impressive for my game. I mean, the Admiral is a very challenging course, and even though we didn't play the blue tees, the tips, we did play the white tees, which are still, you know, pretty difficult. I feel like the only holes where things get a lot more difficult on the blue tees is hole 1, hole 8, and maybe like a couple other holes where the blue tees are significantly harder than playing from the white tees. Hole 18 would be another one I would throw in there. So there's probably like 3 or 4 holes that are a lot harder from the blue tees than the white tees. But either way, it's still a really difficult course playing from the whites. And so the fact that I was able to shoot under par for the entire tournament, definitely I feel like would have been well over 900 rated. Even par, I think, would have been well over 900 rated, and shooting 1 under would have been just a bump higher. I can't know for sure what the scores would have been. When people play from the blues, I feel like even par can sometimes be rated like 960 something. And then under par can be in the 970s even. But again, that's from blues, not from whites. But we had 3 added holes. To be fair, they were kind of easier par 3s, at least easy to make sure you got the par. Definitely a little bit tricky to birdie just because this one required a little bit of distance that I'm showing in the background here right now. And then the hole right after this one requires some distance control at the water just behind the basket, so it can get a little bit scary, which you're about to see right here. I think the water's only like maybe 20 feet behind the basket, so you definitely have to be very careful about not overshooting your target. So they were a little bit easier, par 3s to be fair, added in. But still playing 42 holes of golf on a very hot day, and then even some raining conditions towards the end, a lot of humidity. The fact that I was able to keep my composure and just play solid, clean golf for 42 holes, I'm pretty proud of that. I'm also pretty proud of my mental game throughout this tournament. That was the biggest thing that was, you know, a focus of mine. That was the huge goal, was just to get out of that funk of getting down on myself or getting overly upset about things. Yeah, there was still a couple of moments here and there where maybe I had some negative self-talk to myself, or maybe, you know, I got a little bit frustrated, but I was able to shake those moments off very quickly and then focus up and just have that like goldfish memory that you have to have in golf, which I was really happy about, which shows that my mental game is definitely improving. Yeah, I'm still going to have my moments where I get frustrated and maybe, you know, slap a disc or get a little bit frustrated, but the fact that I wasn't letting it drag on into the next hole or the next shot, and the fact that I was able to shake it off and just focus up and still play really good golf even after a bad break, I think is definitely a sign of progress. The fact that I was able to improve upon some of the mistakes I made the first round, the second round, like this hole right here, I took like a double or single bogey because I got caught up early. I made the adjustment second round and went up par in the hole. And so it's like little things like that that just made me feel like, hey, I'm doing the right things. My mental game was in a better place, and I was playing smart, clean golf for the most part. I didn't really take too many unnecessary risks or try to do too many things that were like outside of what I'm capable of playing. I took a couple of risks here and there, and one of them actually paid off for a birdie on hole 4 on the first round, where I did that big backhand roller through the trees. But outside of that, I feel like I played within my game and played really well. I mean, again, if Hudson doesn't go 6 down through 7 like an absolute lunatic, I might win this tournament. And even then, when he did that, I still wound up only losing by 1 stroke. So, I mean, that's pretty cool. And Hudson's a really good competitor. So I was pretty happy to keep up with him and have a nice little battle with him down the stretch in the final round. And kind of the other big things is I threw really accurately in the woods for the most part. Yeah, I had a couple of shanks here and there, but for the most part, I was throwing pretty accurate on some of these longer wooded holes, which feels really good. Also, the putting was so good this tournament. I mean, again, I played 42 holes of golf, and yeah, some of those holes were like tap-ins, so it wasn't really a putt. I only missed, that I can remember, 3 really key putts, and it was essentially the tap-in birdie on hole 2 the first round. Then I missed a birdie putt on hole 11 the second round. And I missed a birdie putt the second round on the temporary hole next to the water, hole B. Those are the only 3 putts I really remember missing. And I made a lot of really good par tester putts. I made some good birdie putts. I made a couple of, big putts to save bogey in situations where like double was very much in the cards. I putt really well. Like, I wasn't 100% C1X for the tournament or anything like that. But, I mean, again, I think I only missed like 1 or 2 C1X putts. And then, again, I missed a couple of bullseye tap-ins. So my putting overall for this tournament was really good. I also hit a couple of really long ones for birdie and for par. And so definitely a couple of good circle 2 putts and such to kind of make up for some of the circle 1 putts that I missed. So putting was really good. Mental game was pretty solid, and accuracy and just overall, just the mental side of golf went well. Not only from a keeping a positive attitude standpoint, from also just from a decision-making standpoint. I think I played smart golf throughout the course of this tournament. And so I think I have a lot of things to be proud of from this event. Particularly putting is probably the thing I'm most proud of from this tournament. But again, just keeping my head right the entire way, not letting things get to me, and just playing clean and pretty clean golf in the woods. Shooting under par through 2 rounds at this course is no joke. I mean, I know pros and top-level players, like top-level MA1 players and pro-level players would be kind of laughing at me for saying that. But as an AM, being able to come to this course and shoot under par across 2 rounds, I think is pretty awesome. So, yeah, folks, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. Be on the lookout for more content coming soon, as I have a couple more tournaments coming up in June. So some practice rounds will be coming out. Some more tournament rounds will be coming out. And let me know if there's any other content you'd like to see. Put it below. I'd love to hear what types of things you'd like to see on this channel, because I'm always up for new ideas and trying new things on the channel. So if you have anything that you think would be really cool to see, I'll be doing that. Maybe a couple of new courses will be on the channel soon as well. I like to try to show off new courses when I can as well. It's kind of one of the other big things besides practice rounds and tournament rounds that I do here. And maybe some disc reviews will come back as well. But that's going to do it for this time. Other than that, catch you later. Have a good one. Peace out.